So, the good news is I'll never have to work as a bartender again. The bad news is the reason why I'll never have to work as a bartender again, because I can't work as a bartender again because I lost the lower part of my left leg in the accident. You know, I try not to show anger towards my mother, but you can understand how even for a person who is pretty stoic, because she caused the death of her boyfriend when she was 14. So, of course, it was self-defense, but I was a party to what happened, and I had to learn to live with that. If you can learn to live with something like that, of course you can learn to live with anything. And I have, but my leg, this adjustment is going to take a while. And so I said something really mean to my mother, to Sandra, this morning. I lost my temper at breakfast, and she started talking about rehabilitation, and I just want to get used to this. I do want rehabilitation. I do want to get fitted with an artificial leg, but it's my period of adjustment, not hers. And I just lost it. I snapped and said, well, I bet you're glad that this happened, because it meant that I had to move back into the house, which is what you've always wanted, me to never have my own life and to always just be part of yours. That was mean. That was mean. And not even my smart ass Aunt Alicia could think of anything to say, and you've met her. You know she never shuts up. You know, my mother actually started to cry. I can count on one hand, and I only need 3 fingers for how many times I've seen my mother cry. And the other 2 were when I was a kid, so I don't even remember. She didn't even cry after my boyfriend fell down the stairs and I lost my baby. She didn't even cry then. So I know I hurt her feelings. I've been stirring the pot ever since I was in the hospital, because I live on the 8th floor in a building with no elevator. So I suppose I could have stayed in a hotel that does have an elevator, but that was over the top independent even for me. And so I told my mother that I would move into the house, but I wanted to live in the other half from her and Aunt Alicia, and I wanted to have the room where the door is always closed and locked, by the way. She kept it locked. And she wouldn't tell anybody why the room was always shut up and why it was locked. I told her that was the only way I would move back into the house. So, when they opened up the room and brought my bed and my things to put in the room, of course, we have to finally unlock the door. And we're finally going to see, me and Aunt Alicia were so excited because we're finally going to see what's in this room. Nothing. Nothing. You know, I think my mother must have regularly gone into the room when nobody was there to clean it and dust it. It was like a clean room. It was like it was sterile. It was not a speck of dust. We are never, me and Aunt Alicia, we are never going to figure this one out. Maybe one day my mother will finally tell us what was so special, or what happened in that room, or did she just want a clear empty room that she could go in to maybe be herself, her real self, every once in a while when nobody else could see her. That's my theory. Aunt Alicia thinks something happened there before she moved in. Maybe we'll find out. Maybe. One day. I'm so angry about losing my leg. I know that's stating the obvious. Of course, a person would be angry about losing their leg, and it's not their fault. This is so hard. This is not losing my leg, but okay. About 5 years ago, there was a couple in the building right behind mine, and I had curtains on the window that faced one of their windows, of course, but a lot of times their curtains were open, or it wasn't a curtain, it was a shade. It was, a lot of times it was like somebody had forgotten to let up the shade. And of course, you know, I was a victim of domestic violence, which is how I wound up killing my boyfriend. And I heard the woman screaming, and I heard furniture getting knocked over, and I heard running around. This was in the middle of the night one night. And I heard these sounds like punching, punching, punching. And I know what that is because it happened to me and it happened to my almost mother-in-law. I was living in the house with them and I heard this. And so I didn't know these people. I didn't know their name. I didn't even know what apartment they were in. And I called the police and they were able to, by coming to my apartment, looking through the window, they were at the neighbor's window, they were able to figure out which apartment it was, and I don't know what happened, except it appeared that nothing happened by the police coming to the apartment because this beating and the screaming kept going on. And I kept calling the police and nothing kept happening to resolve that situation. I mean, I had gotten a glimpse of the woman and she was little, like that woman I ran out into the street in front of a car for. She's little like that, and the man, he was like twice the size even of the boy that was beating that girl a few months ago. And so I don't think she was in danger of killing him with her bare hands. Like my hands were on my boyfriend when he fell down the stairs and broke his neck. And nothing was happening, but I felt like I had to do something. And some customer at the bar had given me a camera. You know, fairly nice. He had taught me how to shoot it because he would bring in his portfolio. He was an artist. And he would bring in his portfolio and I would look at them, and he said I had a really good eye and I gave good critiques, and he felt like I was helping him out, so he gave me this camera, taught me how to use it. And so one night I decided I was going to start documenting whatever I could see through their window. And eventually, you know, this is going on for a period, I think it was almost a year, and I was gradually buying equipment myself, and I was getting better at using the camera. I was getting better quality images, and eventually I started shooting videos of what was going on. And they were really good. My videos were really good. I mean, I'm not an artist. I'm just interested in the world, and you know, I'm one of these people. Everybody else whips out their cell phone when they get into a cab or they get into an elevator or they get online at the grocery store, or I hardly ever ride the bus. Of course, I'll be having to ride the bus now. My cell phone is in my pocket or in my bag, and I'm watching what's going on. I'm just interested in the world. And I didn't tell anybody. I didn't even tell my friend, the customer at the bar. I didn't even tell him because I just felt embarrassed about it, because I'm just not artistic. You know, I tried to be a musician and I was proficient at viola and violin, but I just don't, that's not me. I just don't have that in me to make it any more than technically perfect. That's all I can do. I can't, nothing flows out of me into the music, which is what I think should happen if you're really an artist, and I'm just not. But I just felt this need to preserve moments that I saw and learn more about what I was seeing in the world. And I finally said the word to myself: you want to document your experience of the world. And so I registered for this online class in documentary filmmaking, and I was getting really good grades, and I actually got a certificate, and I've continued to shoot. And usually what I do, since I know everybody in my neighborhood because so many of them come to my bar and other bars, they have been to other bars where I've worked, so I know everybody. I know their kids, I know their life stories. But I didn't want, I don't know why. I was just embarrassed. I didn't want anybody to know I was doing this. And so I would go to other neighborhoods, and I'm learning all the stuff about San Francisco. And so I'm surreptitiously documenting San Francisco. And it's starting to sort of come together. It's becoming more narrative. And I was on my way to shoot across town when I confronted that boy who chased me out into the street in front of the car. So if I want to keep doing this, like what I would really like to do while I'm making my adjustment, because I think it would help me, well, be more positive. And if I'm feeling more positive, I'm probably going to heal both here and here. And my rehabilitation, when I finally start it, would go better. So I want to start. I've never put everything together. My mind, I've put, I look at my clips, I watch my clips, and I think of ways that I would cut, but I haven't cut anything. So I would like to learn how to edit while I'm making my adjustment into being a person who lost half of her leg. And what that means, I don't know how I can do it without creating more conflict in the house. And I don't do conflict. I just don't. Aunt Alicia and my mother are going to find out what I'm up to. And that's what I'm really upset about. And not only that, I'm probably going to have to ask for their help when I start shooting again. This is just a fucked up situation for me. It's so fucked up.